Hi guys, my name's Ruth. I'm a health visitor in England. Let's discuss toilet training. I have a free toilet training guide. The link is in my bio. You can download that and it gives you a lot of support on how to have stress-free toilet training. First things first, I want to just let you know that typically children reach their milestones at their own rates, their own speed. So when it comes to crawling, sitting up, walking, rolling, you didn't have to do anything to encourage them to do that except give them the time and the patience. Now, admittedly, I have to tread carefully here because there are some children who don't show signs that they're ready to toilet train. So this is aimed at children who are typically developing as expected and they're starting to show these signs of toilet training. There is a bit of a problem in England at the moment where a lot of children are getting to reception age and they're not toilet trained. So let's see if we can talk about some hints and tips on how to support you with toilet training. Did you know that children or babies and toddlers can show signs of being ready to toilet train anywhere between 1.5 years to 3.5 years? We hit 2 years old and sometimes we push them to toilet train when they weren't necessarily ready yet. Like I said, some babies and toddlers, they hit their developmental milestones when they were developmentally ready with rolling, crawling, walking, talking. I do believe to a degree toilet training is the same. If you started toilet training a toddler who's showing no signs, they're not developmentally ready yet, you're going to have accident after accident. It's going to be incredibly stressful. And then you can continue pushing and pushing until they reached an age that they were ready to developmentally toilet train. Overnight, they've got it. So let's get into this. 4 of the biggest signs that we tend to see when babies or toddlers are ready to toilet train. One is they go and hide when they're maybe doing a poo. They're starting to notice that the motion and the feeling of needing to do a poo, and they actually like their privacy. This is a massive step. If they know that they're going to the toilet and they go and hide, this typically usually means they are ready to start thinking about toilet training. They tell you that their nappy has wee in or they've done a poo. They're actually recognizing that it's feeling full, it's uncomfortable, which they weren't doing before. So they come and tell you that they've done a wee. Brilliant. They're becoming aware of, opening and closing their bowels or opening and closing, going for a wee using their bladder. They start wanting to take their nappy off. Even if you're seeing loads and loads of accidents, they're actually now conscious of this uncomfortable thing. It's really hot and it's really uncomfortable. Brilliant step. If they just want to take their nappies off, give it a go. Like I said, you're likely to see lots of accidents. If they want to take their nappy off, run with it. And number 4, they start crouching. This is a real natural way for our body to open our bowels. We should have our knees above our hips, which is why, it's encouraged to have steps or something in the toilet to have your legs raised. So when we naturally go into the crouched position, this is the perfect way to pass a stool, and this is the children's body's way of getting them ready to be conscious of going for a poo. If you're seeing any of those signs, even just one of them, it's likely that they're going to start getting ready to toilet train soon. Take it slow, guys. This is an area in parenting I personally found really, really difficult. I felt like it was almost like a competition, but against myself. They hit 2 years old. Suddenly everyone's talking about toilet training. Like I said in the previous part of this video, it can be any time between 1.5 to 3.5, and children are vastly different. My eldest, she wasn't fully toilet trained till 3.5, nearly 4. My youngest took her nappy off before she was 2 years old and refused to put it back on. It's just an example, same parenting, same household, but they've done it very, very differently. Just to be clear, withholding is when your child is refusing to do a poo. They're holding their poo in basically. And what happens when they withhold is it sits there and it's getting drier and drier because more and more fluid's being taken from it, and it can cause constipation, it can cause anal fissures, it can cause bigger problems, which is why we don't want to be encouraging children not to open their bowels in the best way they feel comfortable. It will come, guys, it will come, I promise you. Try to let your child take the lead. If they refuse and they just, are starting to withhold, they're not ready, give it another couple of weeks, give it another month of backing right off and then restarting again in a month or so. It's actually much easier in the warmer months, going nappy free, letting them run around the garden. We're not focusing on trying not to have accidents here. You can have the potty out and about, and I'll get into in a minute how to actually toilet train, but just letting them feel that feeling of no nappy on. It's, quite a big jump from having gone from the last 2 years and wearing nappies 24/7 to having this kind of freedom around them. So letting them have it nappy free time If you rush your child too soon, you're likely to see accident after accident after accident. So try not rushing them, try to be led by them, and go with the flow, if you pardon the pun. It doesn't have to be black and white of toilet training, that's it, no more nappies. You can do this so gradually. A lot of toddlers like to still do a poo in a nappy. I like to liken this to, if you right now, if I went and asked you to go out in the garden and squat and do a poo on the grass, you're going to find it really, really difficult because this is not something you're familiar with and this is not something you're practiced with. Same with toddlers. Give them the chance, give them a try. If they want to do poos with nappies or they're withholding, stick with nappies. We don't want to be causing any withholding. Absolutely fine if they're doing wheeze on potties and poos in their nappy. Like I said, this is what my eldest did. She did poos in nappies for a long time, didn't apply any pressure. One day, suddenly did it on the potty by accident. Brilliant. We turned a corner and that was that. Trust your child and let them guide you. Doesn't have to be hard and fast, only toilet trained or not toilet trained at all. So you're starting to see they're ready to start thinking about toilet training. Let's get into how. Learning through play is one of the best ways possible. Having the potty out and about initially, having it in a room, in the bathroom if preferable, having a couple, one in the bathroom, one in the lounge. They're just now a new permanent piece of furniture in your home that your child is just going to become familiar with, exposing them to this potty, letting them see you use the toilet, showing them how to use it, what you do on there, letting them see what's in the toilet. I know this all sounds a bit disgusting, but come on guys, we're parents here and they've seen the worst parts of us. So just letting them see what happens, where it goes, using their favourite bear or their favourite dog to sit on the potty, showing them this is what we do, having it in front of the television, just getting them used to sitting and crouching in that position on a potty, sitting down. So what we're hopefully going to start seeing is that naturally, if they suddenly need to do a poo, it just naturally happens because they're crouching already and sat there. Use books and videos, age appropriate of course, with pictures on showing them what to do. There's some really fantastic resources out there. Mr. Poo Goes to Pooland is another good website and it shows you the poo ends up in the toilet and then where does it go off to. Help them decorate their potty with stickers, making it look like this beautiful thing that's, oh, I want to sit on this amazing throne, I've decorated it and it's lovely. When they do eventually do an accidental or a tiny wee on the potty, which will happen, guys, you know, it will happen. Again, we don't want to be pushing, we don't want to be forcing. When they do it, we are going to have the biggest celebration possible, as if your child has just won a marathon. We are going to celebrate and cheer and done, how amazing. And this is going to, with this positive reinforcement, help to encourage them to do it again in the future. And then we eventually start building up this habit. Again, it might freak them out a little bit. If they want to go back to a nappy for a minute, that's absolutely fine. Then we can go back to practicing on the potty and the toilet as well. We don't want to swamp our children with, do you need a wee, do you need a wee, do you need a wee. There's lots of fear around them having accidents. It's going to happen, guys, and the sooner they're showing these signs and symptoms they're ready, the better. You're going to have less accidents the more ready they are to toilet train. The earlier you start, you're going to see more accidents unless they're showing signs that they are ready. When it's time to get rid of nappies, avoid big life changes. If they're starting a new nursery or, you know, you're moving house or whatever, you're going back to work, you know, you've had a couple of years off or whatever, avoiding big life changes, waiting until it's a little bit more settled, a little bit more calm, their routine is staying the same. Saying goodbye to nappies in the day. I'll get on to nighttime in a minute, but saying goodbye to them in the day, they live up in the bedroom now. This is what we sleep in, not what we wear throughout the day. Just want to remind you, if they want to do a poo again in the nappy or they're withholding, making sure that you do offer that nappy again. It's not black and white, and you're not going to hinder their learning or their toilet training experience or confuse them by offering a little bit here and there. That's absolutely fine. It's really important that we encourage drinking with our children, at least 6 to 8 cups a day around this age. That can be water, milk, well diluted squash. Obviously water and milk is more preferable, but we want to avoid constipation. Constipation can cause more accidents because the stool is literally pushing on the bladder and it just causes, you know, that feeling of being full is a little bit different. Put your child in clothes that are easy to remove. If at home and feeling safe to do so, let them just be naked. Yes, there can be some accidents when we start putting pants on again because it feels like a nappy and that's where it can be a little bit confusing. This will come. Try to be naked as much as possible at home if you can, and then the practicing of pants, maybe as soon as they've done a wee or a poo for half an hour, that can start getting them a bit more confident in nappies and pants. Let's have a quick chat about nap times. If you're doing toilet training and your toddler is waking up from nap times completely dry, time to ditch the nappy for a nap. If they're waking absolutely soaked after a nap, it may be they do still need to wear a nappy, just until they're getting a little bit more used to that bladder control. Making sure they do a wee before nap if possible, if you can get them to do that. I appreciate if they're overtired, this may not be possible, just chuck a nappy on for nap times. Sometimes they're going to refuse one. I always put puppy pads underneath, a sheet, another puppy pad, another sheet, so I can whip that sheet off and I'm already straight into the next sheet with a puppy pad underneath. Let's talk about bedwetting. Bedwetting, or being dry throughout the night, I should say, is down to a hormone being released. This hormone helps slow the kidney production down. It concentrates our urine. This is why when we wake up as adults in the morning, it's much darker, it's much stronger. We've been able to hold on throughout the night because that hormone is doing its job. This hormone sometimes is not released up until 7 years old. Now, if your child was completely dry and they've suddenly started bedwetting again throughout the night and they're an older child, then I would recommend talking to your school nurse or your GP. But here I'm going to be focusing mainly on toddlers who are toilet training when it comes to wetting the bed at night. Never, ever, ever punish your toddler or your child for bedwetting. It's going to create such a bad association here, and you're punishing them for something that is completely out of their control. I also do not recommend lifting when they're asleep, taking them to the toilet and emptying their bladder and putting them back to bed. You're actually creating a bad habit here. It's actually better to rouse them and wake them, walk them to the toilet and use the toilet if they're wetting their bed at the same sort of time every single night. Or keeping them in nappies for a little while. They're still not ready yet. If they're waking up and their nappy is absolutely saturated, they're not releasing that hormone yet, and it's likely they're just still not ready to take the nappy off. So things you can do to help avoid bedwetting once they are potty trained through the night, which is down to that hormone, like I said, is making sure you encourage fluids throughout the day. Encourage them as much as possible. It sounds counterproductive, but it's going to prevent dehydration, which can cause constipation, which can then cause bedwetting. It's also going to make sure that that bladder is getting nice and full and being fully emptied. Stopping fluids maybe half an hour before bed. It's hard because some children do still drink lots of fluids throughout the night, and this might be something that you need to address. If it's a sleep association, I can discuss that in another video. But drinking lots throughout the night can then cause bedwetting, of course. Avoiding anything like caffeine or diuretics, squash, fruit juices, particularly in the last few hours before bedtime, they can encourage you to urinate much more frequently. With my youngest, she was a very little independent being. She had a potty in her bedroom, and she actually used it when she woke in the night or when she woke in the morning if she didn't want to come out to the toilet. I had puppy pads all around it on the floor. My eldest was a bit different. She didn't want to do that. So every child is very, very different. But making sure we encourage them to empty their bladder before they go to sleep at night, that's going to help as well. Encouraging them to open their bowels if they are struggling to and they want to do it in their nappy. Here are a couple of hints and tips. Having a box of special things that they're only open to when they're sat down on the potty, because the longer they sit on the potty, if they need a poo or you know they need a poo, that natural gravity, that sitting in that with their knees up high, that's what's going to naturally help that poo pass. So having a box of toys which is only accessible when they're sat on their potty, sat on the toilet, is going to help with that progression. Blowing bubbles, it can help release the tension when you're blowing. It's much easier for the poo to naturally come out. And praise. Even sitting on the potty, give them praise. Even walking around without their nappy on, give them praise. You cannot praise them enough. Do not ever discipline when it comes to going for a wee on the floor. Never ever punish when it comes to that. You are potentially then going to start causing a regression when it comes to toilet training. Just, so Daisy, let's clean that up. But fantastic, you did it even if it was on the floor. We don't want to be encouraging that, but we don't want to be punishing. So just a reminder, guys. Firstly, this is all in my toilet training guide, which is free to download. But I just want to remind you, it is not a race. It can feel real peer pressure. Oh, so-and-so's 2-year-old is toilet trained and yours is 3 years old and not showing any signs yet. They do things at such different ages. Trust your gut instinct. If something feels wrong or you're not sure if there is something that's a problem, get in touch with your health visitor, your GP, your school nurse, depending on the age of your child. You know them best, and your gut instinct trumps a lot of that. Stay calm. We're not going to be punishing them for having accidents. We're going to be praising when they're doing really well, and when they're not, we're just going to clean it up. So Daisy, that's it. Just a reminder, most children and adults are potty trained. Your child will get there. Yes, we do need to be encouraging them, particularly if they're coming up to the age of 4 years old or school is approaching. It is our responsibility to be teaching our children to toilet train, but we've got all those years in between starting school where they are likely to start showing signs at some point. If they're not showing signs or they're developmentally delayed, please get in touch with your health visitor because they can help you much more thoroughly than I can over this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this useful, please like, comment, subscribe, give me a follow. Have a look at me on the other apps as well, on Instagram and TikTok at RuthWattsHV. I've got 5 different guides uploaded at the moment. My toilet training one is free, 2 on sleep, 1 on fussy eating, 1 on managing difficult behaviour. Calmness is your superpower, and trust your gut instinct. You've got this.